Okay.
My name is Lena, and we are going to be discussing some important topics for travel and expense and how to handle Concur. And you might find this helpful, this piece of information. So let's go ahead and start. This is the finance organization that we have in our team. This is the portion of Brazil, and then this is the United States portion. Over here, Lena Barbosa, and we can go ahead and go into it now. So we did this training with a purpose pretty much because we had the monitor finding some gaps in the system, and then the directors approving says the mix was not using properly, and it was not being used for only travel corporate cards. It was being used as personal as well. So we had some instances that we had to we have to follow the policy, and personal expenses are not permitted in the travel card. We also found that we had employees using the incorrect use of expense types or the GLs, hospitality scrutinization, sorry, and the standardization to adhere to the global policies. We would like to be all global, so we all follow the same policy, Brazil and United States, as well as Asia and Europe. And we implemented a new workflow for better control and audit rules. And then we also have a goal, which is to clean the unsubmitted transactions. We are now at 70K. So what are the user responsibilities? The user responsibilities pretty much is to have all the corporate card only to be used for travel expenses and not for personal. Submit the expense report for reimbursement and provide all the comments and explanation when necessary, if necessary. Um, Also, your responsibility will be to pay the AMX bill, as well as to try to book in advance, at least with 14 days, whenever it's possible. We do understand that sometimes, you have an assignment that you need to go, and it's a rush to go, and you need to go. It's fine, but you have to add comments, and then the system will give you a warning. It will go to a director for approval, but it's because it's out of policy. But we do recommend that, and that's pretty much the responsibility. Also, to follow Embraer policies, and whatever is out of the policies, they will go to director for approval because they are the only ones that have the ability to approve things out of policy. How the perfect report looks like. It's itemized, legible, and amounts that match the receipt without or minimal exceptions. When I talk about the exceptions, is the yellow warnings that you have on the top of the report. And then with details and comments again, and reports that follow the global policy. So we repeat a little bit, but it is just to enforce it. And then you can find over here, these are all the policies. You can find them all in DocEMB, the updated versions. And here are the numbers just in case you need them. And just for you to know, the global travel policy is approved by the board of directors. So it is a very hard one to change or to modify. So we have some information over here for the 14 days in advance. So we encourage, due to a study made in Brazil, that whenever you buy the tickets with 14 days in advance is when the most savings pretty much are met. So you can see over here the goals. The goal is to do it in 14 days, and there are targets to achieve 80%. So as you can see on the 2020, we had achieved for the domestic 68, and then for international 44 with advanced purchase. Overall, we are the 62, but we are still missing the 80%. So there is still room for improvement. So this is another piece of information just for you to know. Some of you might not know that whenever you book through Concur, we get charged a fee, but whenever you you call, make a phone call, or you email them to research your itinerary and to book something for you, then they charge us $28 extra. So then we try to encourage our users again to try to go offline, which means go, do not go offline, go online, only in Concur. And we do understand that sometimes, there's so many flags that they have too many legs, and it's very, very complicated for you to find it or to um, do your itineraries that way. So you can just call in those cases, but to try to be a fewer cases and not too many. So last year, 2019, we lost about $9,000 because we had too many people going offline, just doing a phone call. Because I know it's easier, but we encourage that, trying to go through Concur and do it yourself. So over here, you can find that domestic, we did 77% and through Concur, and then we did 49 on international. So it's understandable, but we can maybe improve this. It's understandable because whenever you travel international, it's more legs, it's more complicated. But overall, we did 69%. But there's still room for improvement again. And then our goals is to increase the online purchases, and then we'll try to negotiate a better price with AMX as well. Another piece of information is for preferred hotels and the most preferred. So this might sound a little bit confusing between the most preferred and the preferred. So we have two choices. The preferred, we will only could be used whenever the preferred is sold out. But over here you can see for the preferred hotels, the rate for the preferred hotels are only almost 49% of a difference between the non-preferred hotels. So it is a huge difference that it can impact on our savings as a company. So we recommend doing that. If you have any questions, just let us know. And so the next one is the workflow that we have implemented. This is how it was before. So it will be the employee submitting the report. If the report is inside of the policy, then it used to go to the manager, then to us, then to internal auditing. And if it was out of the policy, it will come to us. So we'll check it out before the director will check it out. Then the financial team again, and then the final step, which is internal auditing or external monitor. But now, as is, the employee has the whole responsibility, because now it goes to, if it's inside the policy, it goes to the supervisor, and we are in the last step and approved. Over here, if it's out of the policy, it will go through the whole workflow for the employee, and we are not in the middle anymore to double check. So it will go to the supervisor, manager, director, financial team. Then we approve and pay. That's only that we do now. If you have a mistake and it gets to us, and you happen to, do not have a certain thing that we require, then if we reject it, then it will go all the way to the beginning, and then you will have to go through the workflow again. There is not a way for us to modify, just because to be compliant, if you change if we return it and you change something in the report, it has to go all the way through your workflow. So that is the only thing that changed. We are as gatekeepers at the final step. And then for the USA travel, we do not have a travel booking approval like previous to travel required in Concur. Like, you don't have to add that to your Concur account, but I'm pretty sure that you have it, and you have to check with your manager, as well as right now they might be asking you for due to the virus as well. So let's go ahead into the next one. What are the most common out of policy examples? Missing receipts, as you can see over here in the corner, it was just a picture of a lost receipt. That is not valid. We do have an affidavit for that, and then we will explain it later on. We also have the booking within 14 days of travel, not booking with advance, seat selection and upgrades. This is an expense type that, regardless, it will go to director for approval, even though if it's just a selection. A lot of airlines, they do have only selections, and you're just gonna have to, whenever you select this expense type, it will go to director for approval, just because it's an out of policy exemption. Then daily limits, and we had a lot of tips over the limit. We also had the hospitality limits and the hospitality procedure. It was out of the most common out of policy. The most senior level not paying the bill, alcohol not being reimbursable unless with a customer, office materials purchased with AMX, and submitting reports after 30 days. So these are the ones that most of the time we have issues. Then the adjustments that we did in Concur, it was the new workflow process. As you can see that we are gatekeepers now. We're not checking receipt by receipt. And then we went up with the tips a little bit from 18 to 20, just to avoid that little bit of gap that maybe took you over. So that's why we raised it from 18 to 20. We are providing trainings to the employees. So if you have more trainings that you would like to participate in, just let us know. Preferred hotels were updated. We had an issue with the preferred hotels because people were going with the most preferred, with the preferred instead of the most preferred, just because they didn't have pictures. So sometimes, yes, it's very iffy when you're going international. You would like to know where are you spending your night. So we didn't have pictures in most of them, and that's why we went ahead and updated that. We also removed expense types and Concur as cellular, iPhone, and data. That it's not permitted to buy it through Concur. We also removed promotional material or customer gifts that has to go through indirect procurement. We do not have business meals like team meetings and stuff like that. Those are not allowed. And employee fraternization, those have to go with the pre-approval by corporate communications. So we do have a specific expense type that states that you need to have their approval with corporate communications before doing an employee fraternization, like a birthday or something like that. It has to go approved. It has to be approved by corporate communications. Important points that we discussed so far. The employee is responsible for submitting expense report. The leader is responsible to check the report. And before submitting an expense report, code of ethics has to be accepted by the employee. The most preferred and preferred hotels are also eligible for rewards. So we encourage you to use your card and try to go to those. And then on Concur, the link the green icon, the green card icon. As you can see over here, a lot of people just leave this out, the green card icon, and then they just attach the receipt. That it's an issue because we can incur into double payment, and then that's one of the ways that your report can get kicked back to you and then going through the whole workflow again, because we do need comments. If you happen to switch your card and pay with your personal by accident, because it happens a lot, that you're used to paying your bills and you're doing your thing, and then you go to the gas station and you're actually on an assignment, to switch and pay you with your personal card. That's fine as long as you add comments. Just add comments that you did pay with your personal credit card, or that, AMX sometimes is not received or approved by many vendors. So then you can also add that AMX was not approved, or that they didn't receive it. The vendor did not accept AMX. So, but as long as you have comments, that's the most important thing, because it gives us an idea, and then that will stop your report from going all the way to the beginning and go through the whole flow again. And then for cash advances, over 600, you have to email compliance, and communication is key. So just let us know if you need anything. So the common questions usually lately are pending credit card transactions. So whenever you get this email, on the 8th of the month, every single month, we implemented a warning in Concur that every 8th, the employee will receive this email saying, hello, traveler, you have 30 days, you have pending transactions, please go ahead and submit your report. And then after the 32 days, so on the 10th of each month, then your manager will get it. And then on the 42 days, your second 52 days, you will get it, and the third manager will get it. And then they will be sent with an Excel tab with two tabs, an Excel file with the actual credit card transactions that you have pending in Concur. This is a warning that it's automatic in the system, so I cannot stop it from going. And I can also, unless you clean up your transactions, that's not going to go away. So if you wait until next month and you still have pending transactions, it will still go to your managers and it will come to you as well. So we just recommend taking care of those, and we are trying to encourage users just to have a clean system, because it looks like Embraer owes the money, those $70,000. It looks like we owe that money to our users, to our employees, and then we have to clean that up and try to get to zero, because sometimes you do have things that are returned and that you have to wait because of the negative amounts and things like that. But as little as below as we can go to, or closer to zero, the better. The other common question is how to handle itineraries. Sometimes employees get very confused whenever they get this kind of icons here and expenses. So what this is pretty much whenever you do a reservation and whenever you book a travel or you book a hotel or air ticket, Concur will receive, because you tried doing the reservation. And then let's say down the road, your plans changed and then you didn't get to travel. And then you left that off. You totally forgot. And you don't know if that was a really accurate expense. And then sometimes, it gets put on a corporate and on the report, and then it's claimed. As long as these expenses or these itineraries are with a green card icon, as the one that I explained earlier, the green card icon, it's the actual card transaction. It's whenever you got charged on your card. So whenever you have this kind of expenses like this, you should always check your statement. And you can just double check. Say, okay, let's go ahead and look for this amount. Did I get charged for this during this date? Could be that your itinerary, your schedule change, you didn't get to travel. Right now we're having a lot of those because of the virus. There were a lot of users that they booked travels and lodging and stuff, and then they had to cancel due to the not traveling policy. So then this gets lingering there and stays there in the system and doesn't go away until you delete it. So this can be deleted after you confirm that you in fact didn't get charged for them. So you can just select them and just delete them. If you got charged and then you happen to have those into another report, you can always move them. And then whenever you find the actual green card icon, you can click on that one and click on this and merge the expenses. And that way it will be together. But if it happens that you didn't get charged, then you can just delete them. So that's how you handle itineraries. And then for negative amounts, you do have 3 options and then 3 ways to do that. So this is the first way, the simplest, which is you have the in and out. Sometimes you have you put this one in another report. You don't have this one. So it depends. Whenever if you mark this personal, then you can mark this personal as well. If you mark the charge as personal, you can mark the negative amount as personal. If you didn't, then it's pretty much that you have to repay back. If we reimbursed you for those $66 for the parking, we gave you that money, then you have to give that money to Embraer. So you can do either this kind of cleanup whenever you have an in and out. You can also ask AMX. You can call them and say, hey, can I have those $66 back in a check so I can send it back to her and pay that way? And I have instructions for that. If you ever encounter that, just let me know. Also, you can also leave it there and wait until you have more transactions. And so that way it will count down with your other expenses or future expenses. But you have to keep in mind that whenever you are doing those things, you have to be careful with your pending card transactions warning. So if you leave this for too long, for 30 days, more than 30 days, then you're going to start getting warnings. And then your manager and your other manager and then your director, they are going to get the warnings that you have pending transactions. So it just depends on how you want to handle that. But as well, just let me know if you have any questions. So we finished kind of the part of the policy part type of thing. And we're going now into Concur travel expense, like hands on deck pretty much for the website, how you can find it. So how can you find if you have a missing receipt, like that lost receipt? How can you do it? How can you solve that problem? Okay, under receipts, missing receipt drop down, this option will appear. You can select that whenever you're missing a receipt. You put your receipts, in your pants, wash them. Now they're ruined because of the laundry. So then you can go ahead, do the missing receipt affidavit. It will ask you a couple of steps. Then the most important thing to ask, comments. Sorry, I put my receipt on my pants and then I washed them and then receipt got destroyed. Some older was like, oh, I had all my receipts actually, and I put them on the airplane and I totally forgot to get them. So this is how you get the missing receipt affidavit. Over here, you can see the expense types that we have right now in the system. And just keep in mind that all the time that you have warning going to a director for approval, it will say it over here, like directors for approval. So it will let you know. So this way you can know if your expense report is actually going all the way to director for approval. Over here, transportation, on the transportation, you can see seat, reserve, and upgrade. That requires director for approval. So and under individual meals, we also have breakfast, domestic meals, international meals. And if we change any other expenses, we will send a communication in the future just to let you know that we add more. So filling out information for the domestic meals. So over here, let's say that your total meal is $30, including the tip. So we don't have a way on the system to calculate the tip. So we will just tell you to write the whole amount on the amount total, because there is not a way to add up the tips and the amount. They don't add up in the system. So what we do is just specify the total amount that you spend, even with the tip, and then specify the tip on the side, on the tip box. And then same over here for international. Just you can do the same thing, specify, but do not put over here, 28, and then trying to this, because these two boxes, they don't add up. Just keep in mind. Okay, so filling out the information for hospitality. This is what I have, but it cannot be that this can change compliance, change this. So you should consult them or ask them if their limits are still the same. So you can also, you have to take into consideration that whenever you have an attendee type, it just depends, your limits depends on that. So for all other partners, which are business guest or a supplier, then you have certain limits that apply. But for private customers, which we have over here as a client, they are completely different. So just keep in mind that you have to check with compliance what are the limits depending on the attendee type. And for transportation, we added the air ticket class. Just keep in mind that we have that as well. For the car rental, we also added, if you upgraded to a minivan or if you upgraded to an SUV, just check those out, because sometimes people select the wrong thing just for picking up stuff, and then their report is going all the way to director for approval without a necessity, if you don't pick correctly. For the incorrect posting date, so whenever you have the credit card, you're in an assignment, and then you go and eat at Chipotle, let's say. Sometimes the vendor does not register your credit card transaction immediately. They do it the next day. And then, but you travel, and then you also had breakfast, lunch, and dinner the day before. And then today as well. But then your lunch from yesterday or your dinner from yesterday is coming to eat your daily limit from today. So a way to do that is to itemize that. Whenever the vendor has the wrong posting date, then you itemize that line, and then on the second line you will select the correct date. Whenever you select the correct date, then this is the day it will take. So this happened on the 24th per se, and then really the meal was on the 23rd. So you're just going to itemize that line, select the 23rd, and then you over here, you will add a comment saying that the vendor transaction posted on the next day instead of on the other day. And then that's why it was eating part of your meal. But that way it will not take part of your daily limit meal for the 24th instead of the 23rd. For adding comments, so you can go ahead over here on details, drop down, and then add the comments. Click over here, and then you will get this little window. And then that's how you add comments into the whole report, and then you can save them. For clean up multiple expenses, so whenever you have too many expenses that you already got reimbursed for them, and that you just need to get rid of them and put them in a cleanup report. That's pretty much what we've been doing for the 70K. So sometimes you don't need reimbursement for those expenses. So you can just click in all of those at the same time. I believe that you only can select 60, no more than, but then the system will tell you. Then you can click on the box, and then you can select and modify multiple expenses at once. Then you can put dues and fees, and yes, it's a personal expense, do not reimburse, and save. If you want to use this tool just to add comments to multiple lines, you can also do this. You can just click on the lines that are the same. Let's say domestic meals. You want to add a specific comment for all the domestic meals. Then you can just click on the boxes and then just add the comment that you want, so you don't have to type over and over and over again. And then this is just a small review for the app. We are not too proficient in that. This is very new to us, but I went ahead and tried to play with the system just to kind of give it a try and to give an idea to the users as well. So you can see that, the same sign in type of thing, and it has the options here to add expenses, receipts, to book. So it is very interesting. I do not recommend using really the camera on the Concur app, because if you do not have a good signal wherever you are, then you might be losing those pictures and those receipts. Or if you're gonna do it, just keep the receipt, because sometimes the people just take the picture and just toss the receipt. Try not to do that, because you might lose connection. Then Concur app never saved your receipt, and then you don't have a receipt. Now your report will have to go to the director for approval. So try to just use your camera and just upload it from there instead of using the actual Concur. It's about preferences. It just depends on you. And then over here, you can add the receipt. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can add expenses. It's pretty easy. Manual expense. And then you can add the receipt from here as well, and then you can modify the whole information. One thing, you can also, go to the available receipts from your library. So it gives you the option to save and everything. So for the flights, I didn't really like it, because I had to choose and pick a specific time to travel. But I don't travel too much, so maybe it would be useful for you guys that do that. But yeah, I didn't like that you have to actually pick a specific time. But over here, it will give you the warnings if it's too expensive, it's not supposed to, because over here you see the 336, and these are the cheaper options. So you can see that you got a little warning saying like, okay, this is too expensive. So for the next one, I did really, really, really enjoy this one. I liked it because you can just keep adding stops whenever you are having a personal car mileage. Then you could just keep adding the stop and the from location, from to, and it just counts the whole thing. I really like this one. I very recommend that, just to be more accurate with the tracking for your mileage. And this is how the approvals look like on the other side for your managers, and that's how they can see it through the app, send back or approve. And this is pretty much all. So we are almost done. This is the contact information. If you have any questions about the card issuance or something about your card or your credit card fees or something like that, Lori will be able to help you. If you have any travel questions for AMX, here is their contact information. Sometimes some employees, they have issues whenever AMX finds a cheaper flight or a cheaper hotel, and then they will cancel. They will cancel your reservation and then book you another one. And that's also when the itineraries come and linger around. But whenever you have that, you have the initial receipt, but you don't have the change that they have. It's just a feature that they reshop so we can get a better price. But if you have to happen to have a reshop in your traveling section, just you can email Joanne and she will be able to retrieve a matching receipt with your amount. For actual Concur contact support, like if you have problems with your app or things like that, or with the system, you can open a ticket through the through their website, or you can contact them for IT questions, or to get approved to buy an app or something like that. Or if you have problems with your equipment or with your cell phone, you can go ahead and contact them. If you have anything related to Concur questions, how to do my report, I am the contact person. Carla is my backup. Just let us know if you have anything that we can help. And then for hospitality gifts, promotional expense questions, you should contact compliance. And then for our U.S. operations, is Joanne Rapuano. So just let us know if you need anything else. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.